guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the best ways to travel on a budget. One way that I am able to travel so much is partially just prioritizing how my money is spent and prioritizing it to be spent on travel. The other way is traveling on a budget and figuring out the best ways to travel and save some money. I've been on several trips in the last several years. Seattle, Denver several times before we moved here obviously, Los Angeles, New York City, Nebraska, San Francisco several times, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Long Beach, Estes Park, Port Angeles, Palm Desert, California, and Panama City, Florida. Okay, so my first tip is to drive. I know driving can be kind of cumbersome, it can take a long time, you waste a whole day of vacation time, but you save a ton of money, especially if you're with somebody. For example, I have driven to San Francisco once. It took about 17 hours. We drove straight through in one day, and I think gas only cost us about $200 there and back. And a recent flight that we took cost that much. Obviously, there's a big price difference, although it took us maybe 4 hours total to travel there by flying. So obviously that's a lot quicker. But it just kind of depends if you can afford it, if you can't afford it, how much money can you spend, how much are you willing to spend, etc. Okay, so the next tip, especially if you're going to drive, is don't buy lunch on the road. Buying fast food isn't good for you. And then if you're gonna buy like a sit-down meal, that's just, it's really expensive. There's another, depending how many of you there are, with 2 people, that's at least 30 bucks. And you know, a good hour wasted just sitting and having lunch. The best thing to do is make sandwiches at home before you go, bring a cooler, and you'll save a ton of money. The next tip, which I've already kind of touched on, is to travel with friends or a significant other. Obviously that's what I've done most of the time. I've traveled with Kelsey, and that's a great way to save money. I mean, if you're driving, you can split the cost. You can split the cost of a hotel room. Sometimes you can buy one, get one. The next 2 tips kind of go hand in hand. It's just pre-planning basically. So you want to plan out how much money you're willing to spend, so plan out a budget. Don't go over your budget. Plan out how much you're going to spend on souvenirs or gifts to bring to people, how much you're going to spend on food. I find it easiest to do this if you give yourself a budget for food, especially every day, and don't go over it. It's the best way to kind of go through and figure out how much money you're going to spend per day and keep it minimal. If you feel like you don't want to spend a lot of money on food and you don't want to go out to eat a lot, go to a local grocery store and stock up, and then you can just make food at home and save a ton of money that way. The other part that goes with planning is go ahead and do some research. Figure out what museums have free days, what museums have discounted days, what museums have buy one, get one tickets. Same thing with attractions, same thing with restaurants. For example, in New York City, you can buy discounted Broadway tickets at this place called Tix, I think. It's in Times Square. You can also do it online. Another example, in New York City, they have I forget what it's called exactly. It's like a New York City pass or something. You buy it for, I think, $100 or $200. I can't remember. Everything I mentioned, I will put in the description box down below so that you can find it if you're interested. You can look up current prices because I know those things change. But you buy one of those passes in New York City and it gets you into a lot of attractions for either free or discounted because you already bought this pass. Another thing with planning is to go ahead and sign up for loyalty passes and rewards programs ahead of time. And a lot of times, just for signing up, you get something for free. Next, I'm sure you guys already noticed it's really popular now, although it wasn't as popular a couple years ago when I started using it, but Airbnb is a great resource. So are motels. I know they're not as nice as Airbnbs, but they can be really cheap. The thing you have to remember about where you're staying is that, especially if you're like me, you're gonna be out and about all day long and you're just gonna come back home and crash. It's literally just a place to sleep. Don't spend a ton of money on a hotel when all you're gonna do is go in there for like 8 hours to sleep and then head back out. I know some people like free breakfast and that can be really good, but again, if you stay in an Airbnb, go get yourself some groceries, make yourself breakfast at home, and cut that expense out. Okay, the next tip I have is if you have pets, get friends to house sit or get your family to house sit. If you hire somebody you don't know or you take them to a pet hotel kind of place, that is going to be a lot more money than if you get somebody you know to do it. Because somebody you know will probably either do it for free or do it for a lot less money. And the last bit of advice I have is to don't get loans. I know it can be very tempting to get a loan for a trip, especially if there's some extra stuff you want to do in a city you know you won't go to again for a long time. But ultimately, loans make you spend more money than you would have normally done. You will feel like there's less necessity for a budget, and don't forget, you have to pay that back eventually. Also, not only are you gonna have to pay it back, but you're gonna have to pay it back with interest. If you really can't afford it, even with all the tips I've mentioned or more that you might have thought of yourself, you should really just wait. And that's it. So those are all my tips from my own personal experience. I did not go and look any of those up ahead of time. They're just what I have experienced over traveling many times in the last several years. It's the best way to keep everything on a lower end budget and maximize your vacation and get to be able to do as much as you'd like to. Let me know if you guys have any tips of your own that I haven't mentioned, if you have any experience using some of these tips, if you go on a vacation and use some of my tips, how do they work for you? Let me know. Comment down below, and to all of my new subscribers, thanks so much. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye!